What's up, everybody? I'm just going to be breaking down the MMA news that has happened today. There's been a few things that have gone on, some cancellations, and some new matchups that have happened, and some released fighters. So let's get right into it. First off, I'm going to get into a released fighter, Aspen Ladd. She finally gets released after missing weight for I don't know how many times. In all honesty, I feel like she's always missing weight. And yeah, so I feel like as much as it's bad to say, I feel like it was about time this happened. She wasn't disciplined to be at 135 anymore. She didn't want to be at 145 anymore. They gave her another chance at 135, and she still couldn't make weight. So this is what I got for this one. Hopefully she can figure out somewhere else to go. Maybe she'll fight at 145 or a higher weight division at somewhere else in a different promotion. But that's what we have for the first part of this news. Second part, we have Edson Barboza pulling out of the Ilia Topuria fight. Sadly, I kind of wanted to see that fight I really wanted to see that fight, kind of. Even though Edson Barboza is kind of like on the other side of his career right now, it still would have been a fun fight. It still would have been good scrap for Ilia Topuria. I don't know who Topuria is going to fight now. I'm not quite sure. Maybe you look at Sadiq Youssef. They gave him an easier matchup. He's fighting a guy that isn't ranked, and they just found. I'll just say off the street, and he's ranked number 12. So maybe you put Sadiq Youssef once he fights this weekend. Say he wins, you have him fight Ilia Topuria. Maybe you get him on short notice, or another not lightweight, but featherweight wants to come in on short notice and fight Ilia Topuria. That'd be great also. Please, someone. We need to get Ilia Topuria to stay on that card so we don't ruin it. But yes, that's what I have for that one. I'm going to move on to a fight that did get scheduled. Is Rafael dos Anjos versus Brian Barberena. I'm just going to give a quick little prediction here and say what I think about the fight. It's a very interesting matchup. I kind of like it. It feels like RDA kind of gets one of the better matchups in general. I feel like did he get scheduled ever with Makhachev? I feel like they were talking about it. He got scheduled with Fiziev, got KO'd in his last fight against Fiziev. I don't know, just has really tough fights. Luckily, he gets I don't want to say easier opponent, but more opponent that is a winnable matchup. How about we'll go there? I guess he did get Renato Moicano, but that was off short notice, so I'm not going to really count that. But it is a relatively good fight for RDA. I think he will probably win it. In all honesty, I thought Brian Barberena kind of struggled against Robbie Lawler in that first round when they fought. Obviously finished the fight in the second round. But Robbie Lawler didn't look good against Nick Diaz. I was starting to think like Robbie Lawler did some weird shit in that Nick Diaz fight because he did not look like the same dude. He looked a lot better. But I just think the fact that Brian Barberena doesn't really have too much power in his hands, I think will be a big issue for him. I think RDA will probably be able to mix in the grappling a little bit. I think probably outstrike Barberena on the feet for a decision. But that's what I have. I believe this is going on the Orlando card, so hopefully we can get a little bit more fights in there. I don't know when exactly that card is. Is it what? October, December? I'm not quite sure, but should be an interesting matchup. Let's move on. Also, news today, we had Shane Burgos versus Marlon Moraes scheduled at 145 for the PFL finals. This is a very interesting matchup. I guess they both kind of signed with the PFL. I'm sure they're making some really nice money. I know Shane Burgos is making pretty good money, more money than he was making in the UFC. It's just what happens when you get valued a little bit more in a different promotion than the UFC. Maybe more guys look to go over to a promotion like PFL. They get paid like that. We'll definitely see. Marlon Moraes, that was kind of surprised that he went up to 145, especially after he went to retirement. His chin, I'm not too confident in. Maybe it was the weight cut, but I don't think it really was. It could be, but He is at 145 now. Is he looking for a retirement fight? I'm not quite sure. But I do think it's kind of interesting. They're both paying these guys quite a bit of money, and you're having them fight against each other on the pay-per-view. I guess it kind of makes sense. They both have name value to put on the card to get people interested, and they see them fighting each other. They're like, oh, this should be interesting. Shane Burgos obviously has some solid power in his hands, and Moraes has some really good striking, and does have some pretty heavy hands too. Is relatively explosive also. So this should be an interesting matchup at face value, but I feel like the chin of Marlon Moraes will eventually go in this fight. Maybe first or second round TKO win for Shane Burgos. But again, for this matchup, I feel like it would be kind of better if you're investing so much money into these guys. Maybe fight some different opponents on the card, so you're not really losing one. I guess you're kind of gaining one. In retrospect, like you're gaining one and then you're losing one. So probably the hope is that Shane Burgos wins, Marlon Moraes retires or does whatever after that. But I would think that they would want to fight like maybe match them up with easier opponents. But yeah, I'm very surprised at this matchmaking. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Shane Burgos by first or second round TKO. He also did have some pretty good grappling against Charles Jourdain. I think that's how you're supposed to say it. I've been saying Jordan. It doesn't really matter. But he did show some really solid grappling against Charles Jourdain. So will he be able to use it against Moraes here? Probably. Mix it in with his strikes and all that. And I think that will help him get the victory here. Hope you guys enjoy the video. I kind of just put this one together really quickly. Not too many big fights are being made. Dana White said the main event of 282 will be announced soon. Hopefully it's not, as much as I would be fine with it being so. Glover versus Yuri Prochazka. I am a little worried it might be that for UFC 282. I'm kind of hoping it's Stipe versus John Jones, but who knows at this point. They're supposed to fight in freaking July, and they got moved to November, and it's not going to happen in November. So let's hope we get a nice main event for 282. What else? Hopefully we can get Colby scheduled. Hopefully we can get Hamzat scheduled. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.